The scent of rotisserie chicken and warm baked goods filled the air as Alex maneuvered through the crowded aisles of Costco, the oversized cart rolling smoothly beneath their grip. The store was alive with the chaos of weekend shoppers. Families debating bulk snack purchases, elderly couples scrutinizing labels, and exhausted parents wrangling hyperactive kids. It was a battlefield of bargains, and Alex had come prepared with a mental list and the patience to navigate the madness. They had nearly finished shopping, their cart carefully stocked with high-quality selections, organic produce, grass-fed meats, and a few indulgences like imported chocolates and a sleek bottle of extra virgin olive oil. They paused in front of a towering display of granola bars, debating whether to add another box. A quick glance at their phone, a brief moment of indecision, just long enough for their hand to leave the cart's handle. When they reached back, it was gone. Their stomach dropped. Confusion came first, a brief mental scramble to retrace their steps. Maybe they had absent-mindedly pushed it forward without noticing? A quick scan of the aisle confirmed otherwise. The cart had vanished. Alex's gaze darted through the crowd, their heart pounding faster than it should for a missing shopping cart. Then, a few feet away, they spotted it, only it was no longer in their possession. A woman with stiff, overgroomed blonde hair and an air of unearned authority pushed it confidently forward, surveying the items inside with mild disinterest. For a moment, Alex simply stared, stunned by the sheer audacity. They stepped forward, weaving through the throng of shoppers, and reached her side. "Excuse me," they said, keeping their voice even. "I think you grabbed my cart by mistake." The woman barely turned her head, her expression a mixture of annoyance and condescension. She looked Alex up and down as if assessing whether they were worth acknowledging. "I don't think so," she replied flatly, pushing the cart forward another few inches. Alex blinked. "No, I'm sure. I was just standing over there and—" "If you left it unattended, that's not my problem," the woman cut in, her voice dripping with dismissiveness. Alex inhaled sharply, trying to suppress the immediate irritation rising in their chest. "I didn't leave it. I was literally right next to it. Look, those are my groceries." They gestured toward the items, hoping logic would prevail. The woman, Karen by all known laws of entitlement, rolled her eyes dramatically. "Oh please," she scoffed. "It's just a cart. Take another one." Alex clenched their jaw. They could feel the curious glances of other shoppers, the way people subtly slowed their carts, sensing an impending scene. "It's not just the cart. It's everything inside it. I already spent time picking everything out." Karen made a dismissive noise, reaching into the cart with an exaggerated sigh. She grabbed a container of organic yogurt, held it up like it was an offensive object, and tossed it onto the nearest shelf. "Then take your stuff back. I don't want this overpriced nonsense anyway." Alex barely caught themselves from swearing aloud. The absolute gall. "That's not how this works," they said, voice tightening. "You can't just take someone's cart and pick through it like a buffet." Karen crossed her arms, the picture of exaggerated impatience. "Listen," she said, her tone slow and patronizing. "You were careless. I needed a cart. It's not a big deal. If you want to make this into some kind of ridiculous scene, that's on you." A ridiculous scene. As if Alex was the one causing a problem. They could feel the heat of frustration spreading up their neck, their fists clenching at their sides. A Costco employee stood a few feet away, but they hesitated, clearly unsure if they should intervene. Karen smirked as if she had already won. "Honestly, you should be thanking me," she added. "Your choices are terrible. Who buys this much organic junk anyway?" She reached in again, this time grabbing a package of quinoa. She let out a snide laugh, shaking her head. "No wonder people are broke these days. Paying triple for bird food." Alex's breath came sharp and controlled. There was no getting through to this woman. She wasn't just entitled, she thrived on belittling people, on making them feel small. Other shoppers pretended not to listen, but Alex could feel their interest crackling in the air like static electricity. No one wanted to get involved, but they were all watching. Waiting. Direct confrontation wouldn't work. Karen had already decided she was right. Any attempt at reasoning would be met with smug dismissal. And Alex refused to be the fool shouting in the middle of a Costco aisle while Karen played the victim. Fine. Let her think she won. Alex took a slow step back, their face carefully neutral. "You know what? You're right," they said, letting their voice soften just enough to sound defeated. "It's just a cart." Karen's smirk widened, her eyes flashing with victorious amusement. "Glad you finally understand." Alex turned on their heel and walked away. But inside, their mind was already working, the pieces snapping together with cold, calculated precision. If Karen wanted to play games, Alex would make sure she lost spectacularly. Alex moved swiftly, their pulse steadying as a plan took shape. They wove through the crowd, slipping into an adjacent aisle where they could watch unnoticed. Karen, blissfully unaware of what was coming, pushed the cart toward the front of the store, stopping occasionally to scrutinize an item before either tossing it back in or discarding it with a scoff. She had no idea she'd just made a mistake. Alex wasn't impulsive, nor were they the type to pick fights with self-important strangers. But this wasn't about a shopping cart anymore. It was about principle. Karen had taken something that wasn't hers, sneered at the rightful owner, and then acted as if she was doing them a favor. That level of arrogance deserved consequences. From their vantage point, Alex watched Karen pause by the frozen foods, idly flipping through a pack of salmon before placing it in the cart. Their cart. That was the first miscalculation. Karen, so confident in her victory, was still shopping. If she had gone straight to checkout, the plan might not have worked. Alex turned, retracing their steps toward the back of the store. They needed another cart. Not just any cart, one that would be strategically useful. It didn't take long to find what they were looking for. A half-filled cart abandoned near the bakery, left unattended by a distracted couple debating between pastries. It contained just enough items to pass as someone's shopping haul but not enough to weigh it down. With practiced ease, Alex removed a few unnecessary things. Bulk canned beans, a family-size bag of frozen fries, just enough to lighten the load. They replaced them with a few nearby high-value items. An expensive bottle of wine, a plush throw blanket, and an extravagant gift basket of gourmet snacks. Things that screamed luxury. Then they moved in. Karen had stopped near the deli, flipping through a discount bin of cookbooks. Alex took a casual route, weaving toward her original cart. The real one, the one she had left behind before she decided to steal someone else's. It sat just a few feet away, untouched, filled with her intended purchases. She hadn't even noticed she'd abandoned it. Alex worked quickly, smoothly swapping a few key items between the carts. From Karen's original cart, they took the indulgences, the wine, the chocolates, the designer blanket, and placed them into the decoy. In return, they slipped some of their previously discarded items into hers, including the very quinoa she had mocked moments before. With the switch complete, Alex moved away just as Karen turned, her gaze flicking toward her cart, the one Alex had just altered. She barely glanced at it, not even pausing before pushing it forward. Perfect. Alex trailed her at a distance, keeping a careful eye as she made her way toward the registers. The store was buzzing with activity, checkout lines stretching long, cashiers moving with well-practiced efficiency. Karen picked a line and, with a dramatic sigh, began unloading her groceries onto the conveyor belt. Alex positioned themselves a few registers away, just close enough to watch. It didn't take long. Karen's attitude remained smug as she scanned her selections, barely acknowledging the cashier as she tossed items forward. Then her hand hesitated. Her expression shifted, slight at first but unmistakable. The cashier lifted a package of quinoa. "Did you want to get this?" Karen's brows knit together. "I didn't pick that up." The cashier glanced at the cart. "It was in here." Karen let out an annoyed huff, reaching deeper into the pile. Her hand closed around an unfamiliar container, organic oat milk. She yanked it up, her mouth twisting. "This isn't mine." The cashier gave a patient nod. "I can take it off if you'd like." Karen waved a dismissive hand, looking increasingly irritable. Then she reached for what she thought was her bottle of wine. Except, no wine. Her fingers closed around a bulk container of electrolyte water. A flicker of confusion passed over her face. She turned, glancing into the cart as if seeing it for the first time. Her head snapped back toward the items on the belt, eyes scanning them, her frustration deepening with each passing second. "Where's my stuff?" she muttered. The cashier looked at her, puzzled. "This is all from your cart." "No," Karen snapped. "I had a bottle of Pinot Noir." She cut herself off, her fingers twitching as she rifled through the remaining items. "No chocolates. No blanket." Alex fought back a smirk. Karen's lips pressed into a thin line, the gears in her head struggling to turn. She was realizing it now, realizing that something wasn't right. She turned sharply, scanning the area, her gaze darting from cart to cart as if the missing items would somehow reappear. Then she spotted it, the decoy cart still sitting a few feet away. Abandoned, but full of luxury items. Her face twisted. She took a step toward it, hesitating just long enough for the cashier to clear her throat. "Ma'am, did you still want these?" Karen's nostrils flared. She looked at the register, then back at the cart, then back again. The weight of the situation finally landed. She couldn't admit she had taken a cart that wasn't hers, nor could she demand a switch now without exposing herself. If she tried to claim the other cart, she'd have to explain why she had someone else's groceries in the first place. And people were watching. Karen gritted her teeth, her fingers tightening around the handle of the cart. She inhaled sharply through her nose, forced a stiff smile and shook her head. "No," she bit out. "Just ring up what's here." The cashier shrugged, unbothered, and continued scanning. Alex exhaled slowly, the satisfaction settling deep. Karen had taken a cart that didn't belong to her. Now she had no choice but to pay for groceries she didn't even want. And this was only the beginning. Karen's forced smile barely held as the cashier totaled her purchase. Each beep of the scanner seemed to stab at her patience, her jaw tightening as she watched a cart full of unwanted groceries become her responsibility. The quinoa, the oat milk, the electrolyte water. Alex leaned casually against a nearby shelf, pretending to scroll through their phone but watching every detail unfold. The way Karen's fingers twitched as she reached for her credit card. The barely concealed irritation in her forced politeness. The way she avoided eye contact with the people behind her, who were growing increasingly impatient with the delay. She had no choice. She had to go through with it. The receipt printed with an obnoxiously loud whir, and Karen snatched it from the cashier's hand with a clipped nod. Her movements were stiff as she shoved everything into the oversized Costco boxes, stacking items haphazardly as if punishing them for their existence. Alex waited, giving her just enough space to feel comfortable, then made their move. With a slow, deliberate step, they approached just as she started pushing her cart away from the register. "Glad to see you got everything you needed," Alex said smoothly. Karen froze mid-step. It was the kind of stillness that spoke volumes, her body tense, her grip tightening around the cart handle. When she turned, her expression was controlled, but her eyes betrayed her frustration. "You," she said flatly. "Me," Alex echoed with a small smile. Karen's gaze flicked toward their cart, their real cart, now safely in Alex's possession. Recognition dawned, horror flickering behind her mask of forced indifference. Alex gave an easy shrug. "Looks like we both ended up with interesting choices today." Karen's nostrils flared. "You did this." Alex tilted their head, feigning innocence. "Did what?" Karen's lips pressed into a thin line, her entire body radiating anger. But she was stuck. The realization was sinking in, if she lashed out, she'd only draw attention to herself. If she tried to argue, she'd have to admit what had happened, and that would mean admitting she had taken the wrong cart in the first place. For a long moment she just stood there, seething. Alex let the silence stretch, letting her simmer in it. Then, with a final, satisfied glance at her overpriced, unwanted groceries, they gave a small nod. "Enjoy the quinoa." And with that, they turned, pushing their cart toward the exit, leaving Karen standing there, speechless, humiliated, and utterly defeated. Alex strolled toward the exit, their cart rolling smoothly over the polished concrete, each step carrying the weight of well-earned satisfaction. But they weren't foolish enough to believe Karen would simply accept her defeat. People like her never did. A scuffle of hurried footsteps behind them confirmed it. "You think you're clever, don't you?" Karen's voice was sharp, low enough to avoid drawing immediate attention but laced with venom. Alex slowed, turning just enough to catch the fury flashing across her face. "I think I got my cart back," they replied, their tone mild. Karen stepped closer, gripping her own cart with white-knuckled intensity. "You set me up." Alex's lips twitched. "Set you up? That's an interesting way to describe stealing someone's cart and complaining about what's inside." Karen's face reddened. For the first time, she hesitated, glancing around as if only now realizing they were still in public. The last thing she wanted was an audience for her embarrassment. But her ego wouldn't let her walk away. "You tricked me," she hissed. "Switch things around like some kind of petty little game." Alex leaned on their cart, studying her with quiet amusement. "If it was a game, I'd say you lost pretty badly." Karen's fingers twitched, and for a moment, it looked like she might lunge. But then she inhaled sharply, recalibrating. She was looking for an angle, a way to reclaim control. Her expression shifted, calculating now rather than furious. "You're lucky I'm not reporting you to management," she sneered. "People like you shouldn't even be allowed to shop here." Alex arched an eyebrow. "People like me?" Karen faltered for just a second, then straightened, folding her arms. "Smartasses who think they can embarrass someone and get away with it." Alex laughed softly, shaking their head. "Karen, you did this to yourself. You took something that wasn't yours, then got mad when it didn't work out for you. Karen scoffed, opening her mouth to retort, then stopped. A new sound had cut through the tension. A voice. No voices. Alex turned slightly and saw them, a small group of shoppers standing a few feet away, watching the confrontation unfold with varying degrees of interest and amusement. And then, the worst possible thing for Karen happened. A woman in the group spoke, smirking. Wait, is this the lady who stole the cart? Another man chuckled. Oh, this is Rich. Karen stiffened. Her eyes darted between them, realization dawning too late. People had noticed. People had been watching. Alex saw the moment it truly hit her, the horror of public humiliation. The very thing people like Karen feared most. One of the women pulled out her phone, holding it up with a sly grin. Hope you don't mind being famous. This is going straight to TikTok. Karen's face drained of color. You wouldn't. Why not? The woman shot back. You were being so loud earlier. Might as well let everyone hear the whole story. Karen's mouth opened and closed, but no words came. Her bravado had crumbled. Alex exhaled, stepping away from their cart and brushing past her, lowering their voice just enough so only she could hear. Next time, just be a decent person. And with that, they walked away. Karen stood frozen, a woman who had built her world on entitlement, now drowning in the weight of her own downfall. The whispers grew louder, the murmurs of judgment closing in. Justice had been served. And Alex? They walked out into the parking lot, the sun warm on their face, their rightful cart in hand, and the undeniable satisfaction of karma well delivered.